Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Tuesday night tune-up coming at you, part of Arkansas Motorsports Magazine's weekly lineup. I'm Bill Gilkey with our co-host Heath Tate, who's back from the opening ceremonies in Tokyo this week. So we're glad to have him back. And tonight we're here outside of Atkins, Arkansas with Eric Brannon, our good friend Bob Moore, and Mason Nichols down there by Heath. And we've got an exciting next hour coming at you, and we want to thank our sponsors, Chambers Bank, with 28 locations throughout Arkansas to serve you better. We also want to thank Skyway Buick GMC in Joplin, Missouri. If you need to buy a vehicle that's never been easier on the internet, then check out Skyway Buick GMC in Joplin, Missouri. Buy one before Friday. Heath will help bring the keys to you. We want to thank True Grit Auctions, Arkansas's #1 online auction company. They got some fantastic auctions going on. Heath, you want to talk about that auction that's going on right now online?
We've got a big tool auction, a lot of tools.
A lot of metal fabrication tools. Please check that out. If you're in the racing business out there or the knife making business, there's some very nice metal fabrication tools.
It was a knife shop. Yeah, did a lot of knife work and built knives and stuff, so it's got a little bit of everything in there. Also
got a very, very good live auction this Saturday in London, Arkansas. So check out their Facebook page for all those details. We want to thank Shaw Race Cars up in Batesville, Arkansas. Builders of some of the best IMCA modifieds anywhere in America. And we want to thank Kevin Rogers with KR Performance Fuels down in Texas, who proudly serves the state of Arkansas. Thank you, Kevin. And our featured sponsor of the week, 4Play Speed Muffler Shop down in Plummerville, Arkansas. And we'll be talking a little bit more about them a little later in the show. But right now, we'll kick it over to Heath Tate, who's suffering a little bit of jet lag here tonight, and with the Weston Petroleum latest and breaking racing news report.
Well, y'all didn't get to run it at Plummerville this week, so that's where y'all run most of y'all's racing at right now.
Most time now. We have been going.
But y'all got to run up at Batesville and had some good racing going on up there. Had
CS sprint
cars up there, and the sprint cars were at I-30 also this week. So I mean, they had lots of good racing. If y'all didn't get to go out and see that, and they were at West Memphis also sprint cars this week.
I do want to say that Dale Howard
won,
who won the race on Friday night, hadn't won an ASCS race in 20 years.
Yep.
And that was good to see
something like
Dale
that. Then I guess load the motor up, and then he gets started down there at I-30. But I seen where Edwin Wells, he won both I-30 and Batesville.
Looked really good on Friday night.
Stock car race up there, both tracks. Saying that, I guess they had a big week. Cadillac Chassis, I guess they won 4 or 5 different races across the nation now. So this weekend, I seen that. So, and y'all had a big run at Centerville this weekend.
Had a good time down there.
Had what'd you say, 19, 20 cars there down there.
19 cars.
There at the factory stock race there, and so.
What do you got coming this week?
Oh, got racing at Thursday night. They're going to be at the late models are going to be Comcam late models. They're going to be at I-30 Thursday night. They're going to be at Batesville Friday night, and the legit Saturday night. So I mean, the Comcam late models. Anybody wants to go out and watch late models run? They're going to be at all 3 tracks this week also there.
Also,
and,
the
Southern Outlaws are going to be at #1
at Harrisburg,
and
the Bootlegger 25.
The Bootlegger 25, yeah, they're
1,000 to win race is what.
Yeah, up there. They're going to be up there, and so
Crawford County's
got the Mod Light, the big Mod Light race going on up there. Yep. So.
Well, all right. Sounds like any predictions on the weather this weekend? I know you like to predict the weather.
I hadn't paid attention. It's been so dead hot.
Hot.
You know, And right now, I mean, we just had a shower out here a while ago.
And you predicted it.
Yeah, we got started a little late because of the thunder bumper going on here, but.
It was raining in Dardanelle, you
It's,
predicted rain, it rained later in
yeah.
Atkins, so you were right on top of it as usual. So anyway, that brings us to our guest tonight, and we're very proud to be here tonight, sitting here talking to these guys. And Heath, I'm gonna let you kick the show off down on your end. I know you.
Well, we'll start this off with this guy sitting beside me, I guess. Ask him, this Mason Nichols, about how you got involved in racing. I mean,
We don't know.
how that
happened.
We don't know why or how probably, but I mean,
Well,
But anyway,
we've got many pictures. You know, when I was watching Grandpa and my dad race and all that. I got started when I was 10. We started racing go-karts on dirt.
okay.
And it just progressed from there until we ended up in stock cars about 8 years ago.
How long did you do the go-kart thing?
Man, I've probably done that for about 10 years.
And we've said this before. Those out there that want to get involved in racing, the go-kart thing, the kart racing is a good step to start.
Absolutely.
I mean, and that's no joke.
Yeah.
I mean, the go-karting is. I mean,
Mhm.
it's a heck of a deal to get involved in.
We just got my 9-year-old stepson involved in it. We've run about 5 or 6 nines so far this year, and had a pretty good outing so far. So definitely on the way.
And then you did the go-karting, and then you started.
We've done some drag racing for a few years, and was successful in that too. But it was just inevitable I was going to race dirt cars at one point. You know.
Let me interrupt you there for a minute. When I was going to quit, I got tired of it. Got too expensive to do by myself. I had a car, a trailer, spare parts, 2 engines, tools, everything trailer. I said, I'll give it all to you if you'll go stock car, and I want to go with you. I'm drag racing now. Me and Dad's drag racing. I don't want to race a damn dirt car. I said, okay. So I sold it. I sold the car, trailer, and every damn thing in it.
That's what I was fixing to say. How did you get involved with drag racing when, you know, one of the legends right here in this area right here was the big dirt track guy, and you get involved in drag racing, huh?
It just happened that way. I can't tell you.
Not that there's nothing wrong with drag racing.
No,
I'm just saying,
no.
you know, with him being
Yeah,
the big dirt track guy.
And the first car he bought just a roller. Come out to my house and said, look here what I bought. This was 5 years later, 8 years later.
Something like that.
Yeah, he said,
Bob,
"Look
did you
here what I
say, look at what you bought?
Yeah.
Or what you could have had, you know, from him.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. But it just wasn't right time.
Right.
You know, we started out in that old Camaro we got, and turns out it was Philip Higgs.
Phil Hicks' old car.
And we had
It
a lot
was
of
good-
good
it was a good
success
car.
with it. Yeah, we had a lot of fun at it. Running many laps center with it for sure.
Yeah, you did.
But, and that just progressed into, in 2015, me and Dad and Grandpa built my first Camaro from the ground up, and had won quite a few races with it, and then we built this Monte Carlo the winter of 19. And last year we struggled a lot. Man, we couldn't seem to finish a race. We just couldn't put a race night together. Something would break, we just wouldn't have a good night. And this year we started off the year great, up to about 3 weeks ago. We had an incident, and we got to get it fixed, but we're back in the Camaro for now.
Back in the
Camaro.
How much do you lean on asking him questions? Or do you at all? Or do you just do your own thing?
I do.
I learned more from him. If it wasn't for him, I couldn't run as good as I run now. Because back then, you either made something, cut the horse and welder, or you went to salvage yard and got it. Now then you go buy what you want to run. That's the difference.
And that's the big difference in back when you were racing all the time.
Oh,
In the late 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, now and you're still racing today.
You made stuff,
You know, you made
Now
all
then
your
you
own
go buy
parts.
And if it wasn't for him, I couldn't run because I didn't. He's got a set of scales. I ain't even got a scales. I don't know how to use them.
And, you know, and probably if you talked about scaling a rig or getting it ready to go to the track, he wanted to take take a socket.
Socket,
A socket.
socket and a wrench and
And-
two before.
Yeah,
That's-
back, you know, when you're talking about setting the car up and scaling it, that's the way it was gonna be done.
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask a question since we're right there. And I'll make it our Shaw Race Cars question of the week. Bob, is there ever a time that right now, that occasionally you look at the car, do you still do that just to?
I'll tell you what, I can put mine right now on a socket in a floor jack, and I'll come up the same measurements after it comes off the scales that I was running.
And I was hoping you'd say that.
That car is as close right now as it'll ever get, like I used to run one. I mean,
Well,
the scales helps a bunch, you know, from front to back and stuff. But for us, across the back, and I'd never measured a tire until I started fooling with him. I just pick a tire up and put it on. But, you know, it's a lot different now than what it was back then. I mean, people has got more money, and you're running a $10,000 car now, where we're running a $500 car. But it costs us $5 to go to races, and $10 to get you and the car in was $10, spend $5 for fuel, and that was it. And I'd race for $500 back then. And now when we're running for $500, it's cost you $500 to go.
well, it's got a lot more technical. You
It's
know,
got
now,
more technical. I mean,
now you're changing caster and camber by half a degree here and a degree there. And before, y'all would just
back off and look at it.
exactly. Yeah, it's a little different. When you talk about the scale thing, you know, you can get the same numbers, but back then it would take weeks to get there. You
Yeah.
have to try this, try that, try this, try that. The scales, you can put it on there, figure everything out, and then take it off.
And if
Done.
it
One
handles tonight, you know, you can go back to it if you have to change a spring or something. Back then, you drove to the seat of your pants.
Yeah.
The way it felt.
And it's saying that, you know, you built the Monte Carlo, and where'd you go from there? Where you at now? I mean, you got the Monte Carlo, and you said he's back in the Camaro.
Yeah,
right now
we
'cause
had an
you restored
incident
the
a
other
few
one,
weeks
so-
ago, yeah, and we're gonna
But,
fix the Monte Carlo and get back in it for sure. It's definitely just a little bit better than that Camaro every weekend, is what we found, and so we're gonna get it back together, but it's gonna take a minute.
Especially on a dry track.
That's where it is.
The Camaro works good on a tacky track. The drier it gets, your Monte Carlo works better.
Just that much every lap, you know, and that adds up through the whole race, so, you know.
Of course, you also have to take into consideration is that spring changes and everything are easier on Monte Carlo than it is on the Camaro, so.
Also, the technology has evolved
Oh,
with
yeah.
the Monte Carlo chassis, you know, and then these things here are just kind of thing of the past. Just, everything works better. You know, that 4-link suspension is gonna always work better than old, you know, leaf spring suspension. But some still make them work. We've made that leaf car work when many people said we couldn't. But the Monte, I think, is just inevitable. It's gonna be that.
Well, they took the Monte Carlo chassis and got them on the modifieds and everything, and they learned what they can do and what they can't do, and what works and what don't work.
And it's
And
just
it's
passed
passed
now.
on down to the, and right now, you've got experienced drivers coming out of late model, modifieds, going into factory stock, because factory stock pays more money than the other classes does a lot of nights on a regular basis.
Right.
On a short night, you know, short tracks and whatever. And that's where it's getting harder. Used to, you had 1 or 2 good drivers and 1 or 2 fast cars. Now then, they've got 10, 12 fast cars and good drivers. They don't screw up. You start behind them, you're going to finish behind them. If you don't start up front with them, you ain't going to pass them, because your car ain't no faster. It may be a little faster, or they may be a little faster than you, but you can still stay in the same lap with them.
And a lot of that this day and time, as you sit there and you watch that, it is a luck of the draw.
It's a luck of the draw.
It's a luck of the draw when you get there to the track, because you're right, there's so many, you know, you may have 20 cars out there, but out of that 20, 12 or 14 of them are going to be equal. And it's hard to pass 12 or 14 cars if you start 14.
You ain't going to do it.
So it's a luck of the draw.
On any given night, at any given track, if that guy wins the heat race, and the other guy wins the heat race, them 3, say, you've got 3 heat races, them 3 cars going to start up front. they're more likely gonna run first, second, third.
Right. You know, and in watching a lot of, now, back in the day, I know these guys haven't ever done it, but I know you have a bunch, where we go out and we run a heat race back in the day, and then we would turn around and maybe invert the field and run.
Yeah.
You know, you finished, but you went to the back.
Yeah.
All right. And then we would do maybe passing points through the field. How, you know, the second heat race. I mean, what do you think about that type of racing compared to just going out and winning your heat race and then being on the pole?
Well, in my opinion, I've been in it for a long time. Them people sitting up in bleachers is what's put the money up.
I agree with
If you ain't got people in bleachers, you ain't got no race.
I agree with you 100%.
All right. Them people sits in them bleachers, they see these cars run the heat races. They know they're gonna start up front in the feature.
Yeah.
They know they're gonna win. It's more likely unless something happens. In the races, they're watching 5th, 6th, 7th place cars back here battle it out.
Right.
I'd like to see them go to a field draw or something to give. I can't say if you win a heat race, go to the back, but run a heat race and have a field draw, invert first 6 cars or first 3 rows. And that way you gotta qualify good.
Right.
You might start on the front, but you're at least gonna start on the 3rd row.
Right.
You know, so you're not gonna sandbag and say, I'm gonna run last in the heat race to get started on the front of the feature.
Right.
To put on the show for the people that come Saturday night or Friday night. If you don't get them people coming to see a show, it's like going to see a movie you done seen before. You're not gonna go to see the second one, because you done seen it.
And
That's my opinion.
And I've said that before, where you get, you know, if you got this guy that starts in the back, or not so necessarily in the back, but starts further back.
There he goes talking about me.
Yeah. That has to pass and get up on the wheel. You know, it's exciting for those people in the stands
It's
that get to
exciting
watch.
for a driver.
Yeah.
You drove, if you started on the front and you won a race, you didn't really feel like you won nothing, did you?
No.
You start on the back and you passed everybody there, said, I outrun her some this year. I enjoyed that race.
Yeah, it's a lot funner.
It's a lot funner to the driver.
It's a lot funner when you get a good number of good drivers and good cars.
And you outrun somebody and say, well, I outrun him.
All right, Batesville, I mean, Batesville's got some top-notch drivers that we've raced with, and it's hard to win up there, but it's fun racing at the same time.
How did you get started?
Yeah.
It's a funny story, and I'll just give you the short end of it. I was drag racing a 2003 Duramax I had, and I kept tearing the transmissions out of it.
Can't imagine.
Yeah. Something about launched them under boost. I was doing that, and it was my daily driver. And there's a gentleman that I work with, and a lot of people know him, Denver Lee. He was making fun of me every day at work because, you know, I had to drive a farm truck or ride with somebody or, you know, have get dropped off. Just, they'd make fun of me. He kept telling me, he's like, you just need to get a dirt car and fix your daily driver. That way you tear it up on the weekend. If you fix it, you fix it. If you don't, you don't. And I went to the races one night over there with him. He had a modified at the time. And it was at Centerville, and I watched it, and I was like, that's kind of cool. And I drove it, which it had the bird or the Brin in it, you know, which is completely backwards to what we're used to driving now with the 3 speeds. But after just sitting in it and feeling, you know, the engine and everything, I was like, yeah, I gotta have one of these. I bought just an old Camaro from a gentleman in Little Rock. I think I gave $1,200 for it. It's just old junky Camaro. Painted it red. Tore all kinds of crap up, didn't know nothing about scales, and nobody in my family dirt tracks. And it's turned into something that I've enjoyed. I love it.
It's worse than alcohol.
It is. I'm not the best at it by no means. I'm way far from that, but I have fun. Try not to tear my stuff up, try not to tear everybody else's up. Unfortunately, sometimes it happens, but.
And you started off in that Camaro. How long did you keep that car?
That car, I actually wanted Tommy New to put a body on it that following winter, and he would not. He did not like the cage. He did not like the safety features of it, and I actually bought a car from Tommy New at that time, a blue and white Camaro that I had, and I raced it for a few years. Ended up selling it to Zach Oliver, and I had Tommy build this car. And we won some street stock races in this car at Centerville, small town races, nothing major, you know, but we've had a lot of fun with it. And then I've got a Monte Carlo now. It's out in the trailer. It's still dirty from last weekend. I ain't got to washing it yet, and I like the Monte Carlo way better over the Camaro. Like Mace said, it seems like it's so much more forgiving. On a Camaro, if you miss your setup by 50 pounds, you know it. On a Monte Carlo, if you miss it by 50, you don't really tell it a whole lot, in my opinion.
So with the advancements of the Monte Carlo and everything, and Bob made an interesting point there about how, you know, the modifieds are basically, you know, built on the Monte Carlo chassis and everything trickles down. That's obviously added to the expense of all classes, because everybody's put pretty much on the Monte Carlo now. And I say that because at Batesville we have a lease brake class. It's mostly Camaros, and you've come up there and run that class quite a few times, and it's very competitive. And care to talk a little bit about that?
It is.
Being that money's, you know, helping pay for the cost of this show tonight.
First off, Batesville, I mean, that track is a different track. I've never raced on anything that is like Batesville. It's hard to explain. To me, in my opinion, it changes every 3 laps. And if you're following some of them leaders, some of the cars that have been there, raced there for 20 years, if you're following them and they go to the bottom, you had better go to the bottom, because they see something on the track that you don't, because I'm not very familiar with the track. And it took me a race or two to figure that out. If they all go to the top, you need to go to the top. If they go to the bottom, go to the bottom. They're chasing moisture, they're chasing a different line there. Everybody's cars are pretty well, I would say, equal and competitive there.
You know, we're on the leaf spring, and everybody's on the same shock.
Everybody's on the same AFCO shocks. It's a good cheap shock. I'm not a big fan of them, but you can get them to work.
You can blame me for that.
But like I said, it's just.
But it helped. But you got to admit, everybody being on the same shock.
It does.
It really makes the racing competitive.
It makes it competitive, and it makes it more equal, and it makes it funner. Because if you're racing door to door with somebody, it's a whole lot funner than them being 6 car lengths out and you just follow them.
Right.
Batesville is, I consider it a momentum track. If you ever lose your momentum going in or coming out, then you're in trouble. You're gonna tell it majorly on the back stretch or the front stretch. I've tore some stuff up there. Me and Randy Aiken, we got hung up one night. He drove me down the whole back stretch up there. He hung up in the front.
Randy had a good race.
Yeah, and I was thinking, you know, Randy come in there Friday night. I think it was his first night there this year, and you know, with 2 or 3 laps to go, he's back there 5th, and on the last lap, he's challenging for the lead. I mean, it's just a very competitive class, and you know, there's still a lot of these cars out there, and I wish that, you know, the other tracks would look at that and maybe start that class and give racers that's got these Camaros an opportunity to use them up, and that's what we're doing.
And like Mason said with the Monte Carlos, a lot of people still have, like you just said, a lot of people have these cars, but there's only 1 or 2 tracks in the state that run strictly leaf springs. And it's hard to be, I mean, anybody can do, and I say anybody, if you know what you're doing, you can make a leaf spring work, but it's hard to make one work against a metric car. I think Batesville had a race last year that the last race they brought some metrics up there. And if I'm not mistaken, Josh Jackson, I believe, is driving a metric car, won that race.
He did.
Same engine, same everything, you know, that Batesville legal, except they adopted to run them, and the metric.
We did that. We did that as an experiment.
Correct.
And the jury's still out whether it passed or failed. So.
Well, and like I said, you know, they're not unreasonably different, but it's just a little bit. And when you take that little bit and times that by 20 laps, 30 laps, then it adds up.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That half a second over 20 laps is 5, 6 seconds.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people don't think about that. You bring up an interesting point there, and I know Bob can relate to this. You know, when somebody's car is out there is working just, a few hundredths of a second a lap better than everybody else's, they're not necessarily cheating, but when you do the math over 15 or 20 laps, it turns into a pretty good distance.
Yeah, they're out front.
I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot to make a car better, that they've stretched it out on everybody else, and it's not necessarily that they're cheating, they've just got it working that fraction of a second
But
better.
if that car starts on the pole, on the front 2 rows, he's got that whole track to work it. You start back in the middle of the field, that car sits sideways in front of you, you gotta back off of it. That car up front, he's still gaining. So when you come out of that turn, and that happens to you 2 or 3 times during the race, you're gonna be a half a lap behind.
Mm-hmm.
You may be as fast as that car up front if you was out front with him, but you can't start back in the field and go to the front. I've seen more and more, you take the fast car and a good driver, and you put him in the middle of the field, and he's gotta go to the front. Very seldom he'll get to the front if he's got 4 or 5 fast cars up front.
And that goes back to, how technical it's got to
Yeah.
today. With, like I was saying, the camber adjustments and moving stuff here and there, just to get that 1/10 of a lap, faster, to try to get that edge.
Shocks.
To build it. Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, that's
That's fine too.
that's a major deal right now
yeah, absolutely.
with every car. I mean, it don't matter what you do.
But, and it's an expense.
Absolutely.
And I go back and say one thing about, our hobby stock classic baseball, everybody's on that cheap off-go shock. And it really, I think has helped make the class, because this guy's not on this guy's shock technology and this guy's on this over here. You got so many shock builders out there anymore. So you got all these different variables in shocks, and some of it may be junk science. But with everybody in that Camaro class being on the same shock has really tightened the field up. And I would just like to see more of it. And I'm not knocking the shock builders or anything out there, but but at some point in time we've got to have more classes that, and I don't, and like I said, we'll probably get hate on this, that eliminates the shock builder. And I'm sorry.
It just runs the cost of the car, but
I mean, those AFCOs are $74 or $75 a pair, I think, and you buy a good QA1 or something for a metric car, you're paying $300, $350, $400 for that shop.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you may get one for $300, but by the time you valve it to what you want, you're every bit of $400 into a shop compared to $75 AFCO.
Bob, would you have thought, and like I said, if I understand right, you won the first race at Centerville in '68, is that right?
Yeah.
Would you have ever thought in '68 that the technology in dirt track stock car race, especially on the local level, is going to be where it's at
no,
today?
it was something to do on Saturday night. Fact of it, I paid for my car the first night I run it. I picked up a junk motor, put rings and bearings in it, put it in the car. But what London gave me the motor is laying out back, jump pop. But we didn't know what cams was. We went to Fort Smith, we bought a recrown cam for $20, stuck it in it, run old rebuilder pistons. And I mean, it's basically a junk motor. But that's what everybody was running.
And I've always admired you because you built your own cars, you built your own motors. How long ago was it that you still build your own motors?
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. And that's, and engines, the expense of the engines has really gotten out of hand.
I know.
What would you see as someone who's been around the sport the number of years that you have? What do we do to make it more affordable, or can we?
And you can't really. There ain't no way that you can detune these cars at this time. Because you got 2 cars. If you drop back to a cheaper car, then he's gonna have to take everything off his or build a new car.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't tell him to throw away $10,000 worth of parts to run,
To start over.
start over. It just got out of hand. Same with your street stock at Batesville. How many cars they got up on that?
24 to 30 now. Of course, we don't run them every week.
Well, that's what it said.
But on the big shows, 24 to 30.
On a big show, but I'm talking about on an average, last time I went to Batesville was 2 years ago, and I drove all the way up there, and they had 4 straight stock cars, and they had 3 Camaros, and had about 25 modifieds. Well, that was the only show I seen. I mean, the other was wham, 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 it was over with. I mean, one got out in front, he was 2 laps ahead of that one, or 2 car lengths ahead of the first, second place car. He was 2 laps, or 2 car lengths ahead of the third place car. It was like watching going down the interstate. I mean,
Yeah.
single file, you've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, you gotta have competition if it's running 60 miles an hour, if it's running 80 miles an hour. And the people in the bleachers can't tell if they're side by side running a position, that's a race. You got this car out here and this car out here following 2 or 3 cars behind him, just single file around the track. It's boring. It is to me, it is to spectators.
It's like you said, especially as to a driver.
To the driver, you know, you pull up behind that car and he takes off and you're 2 or 3 cars behind him, I can't catch him. I know I can't catch him. So I sit back there and drive, which I'm older, I'm more particular about bending one up, but I gotta work on it, I gotta fix it. Social Security don't pay very well. So I'm more conservative. If I think I can't catch him, I'll back off and run behind him. I know I can't catch him, what's use blowing the motor up trying to catch him?
You'll defend your position.
Yeah, just, you know, if the guy comes up beside me and blows by me, I say, well, hell, I'll follow him, because I can't run with him. But, and that's what I look at when I go to a race. I look at a pay scale, what 4th, 5th, and 6th phase, because that's where I'm going to end up, probably where I'm going to run at. That $1,000 out front, I know I ain't going to win it when I go. So I say, well, what's 3rd and 4th pay? If it'll pay me enough to pay me entry fee, I'll go there. That's just like Central Saturday night. I wasn't going to go. They upped the money up for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. I said, well, maybe I can make enough to pay me entry fee, which I didn't, but I went. But I had fun. I started 12th, I think I run 8th. But them cars out front of me started in front of me, and I couldn't catch them.
That's some good cars there.
There was some good cars there. There was some good cars.
That's a good race.
And they was, you know, Josh Jackson, he started on the pole, and, you know, he could start back in the middle of the field and get to the front, you know. He's a good driver, he's got a good car. But,
I was gonna ask y'all two, real quick, about y'all's racing. When, I wanted to ask it a while ago, like, when y'all two are racing against each other
oh yeah.
out there, what is that like for you racing against your grandpa? And then the next question is are y'all sharing information when y'all get back? Is he telling you, it's a little better on the bottom, or are you telling him it's a little better up here?
Oh, it's like a dream. I mean, I never imagined getting to race with my grandfather like that, you know. And here it's been many years ago at Centerville, I had run another guy's car.
Yeah,
You were in mine, and my dad was in another guy's car.
I
We
remember.
all
I was
three got
there
to
that
race
night. I was there that night.
And that's just something you don't get to do nor see, you know. And it was just great, you know. And I share everything I can with Grandpa to try to make him faster. Although he's a little hard-headed, and he's stuck in his old ways. But we're working on him. We're working on him. But we're trying to get him faster every week, and I try to get faster every week. But the way all this technology is with these cars, you got to stay on top of it. You got to always be learning something, always trying to figure out, you know, what did they do? You know, can we do this? Can we do that to make us faster? You know, but anything I've learned, I give it to him.
Do you move him for the win?
Huh?
I've got to ask that question.
Do what?
Would
Asking
you move me
you.
for the me?
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know.
Probably
Probably
I
not.
know what he would do.
Probably not. But you know.
I know he would move you for the win.
Well,
I'm just asking if you could move him.
I don't know. Probably not. To be honest with you, that's
I
the
did
honest
hit one
answer.
hard just over Centerville a couple of years ago.
Stretched my neck about that much longer.
So caution light is in the infield, and you can't see it. We come down the back straightaway, and I've been out of the car for 4 or 5 years, and I wasn't paying no attention to the caution light. I didn't see it. Well, they run down there, and number 1 turn, number 4 turn, or number 3 turn, he'd throw the caution, basically he hits the brakes. I'm still wide open.
Remember
I hit
like
the
it
back
was yesterday?
part.
Yeah, that was wild.
But, no, when we pull out on the track, we run each other. He runs his race, I run mine. I'll say I'll give him room if I can, and he'll give me room. I followed him one night for at Centerville, and he forgot about it, at Plummerville.
Plummerville, yeah, I won't never forget this.
I followed him for,
Chris
That-
Atkins was leading the race.
Yeah.
Yep.
Chris Jenkins was leading it, and
I
Mason was
behind him,
following.
chasing him.
not following him the whole race. So come the white flag, I went to the high side around Mason. He looks over at me and I go by him and he says, son of a bitch.
I did. I chased Chris that whole race, and then I went to the bottom to try to get something on him, and there wasn't nothing on the bottom. And here come Grandpa around me.
Well, now, I've got a question for Eric here. Being that he's not family, but being a young guy, young racer like you are, what's it feel like when you get to race against somebody that is
3 times his age.
well, no, but is such a legend in our area like Bobby Moore is? What, you get butterflies sometime when you're there around?
Honestly, I get a jittery feeling every time I get in the car. I mean, adrenaline, whatever you want to call it, I get that feeling. And if I ever lose that feeling, I'm done. There ain't no point in doing it no more. I mean, I don't know if y'all get it or not.
Oh yeah.
Especially sitting there in the lineup and everybody's, fixing to pull out. It's horrible. Once you take the green flag, you take the first lap, it's fine. But racing people like Bobby and Tommy New, I've raced Tommy a couple times at Batesville in the street stocks, and I don't think I've ever been on track with Peyton Taylor or any of them. If I have, but if I have, they were probably way out in front. But it's just this. I was going to say sentimental. I can't say it. Sentimental. Yeah. Feeling, that somebody like Bobby has been on the track since in the 60s, 70s. To me, that I didn't know nothing.
So we'll ask everybody at home to send your cards and letters to our production manager, Eric Gilkey, who forgot to turn the air compressor off tonight. But I mean, just that when you're out there and you're in the heat of the battle with something like Bob, what kind of thing are you letting do there?
And you want to give it, you want to leave it all out there without tearing anything up. You want to leave everything that you've got. You want to leave it there. And if you got running, you got running. Kenny Wallace said it in a video once before that you never beat anybody. Beating somebody is like beating them down, in a hole. You never beat anybody. You outrun them. And tomorrow night they may show up and outrun you. And it gives you drive to work on your stuff, And that's the biggest thing is working on it day in and day out. Finding the time to come out here and nut and bolt everything. Go through stuff. Put it on the scale like Mason talked. Adjust, change a spring, and just little simple stuff like that makes huge gains from time to time. Last week in Centerville, my car was probably the worst I think I've ever drove. I've got something in the suspension that's binding that it's inconsistent. So I'm gonna have to get it in here and drop all the suspension out of it, figure out what's binding, what's causing the problem. But the main thing is you just want to leave it all out there. Like I just said, the white flag lap, Bobby passed Mason on the bottom. I remember the night Mason was talking about him, his dad, and Bobby. And I think Mason won that night. You or your dad?
I did. Papa finished second.
Because I remember the picture.
My dad finished fourth.
Y'all had all 3 cars out there, and I thought then, I was like, that would be cool to do someday.
Absolutely, I remember. Me and you run many laps together. I know one night at Centerville, I could run you down and get underneath you going in. And then from the center off, you was a whole lot better than I was. I'd just watch you drive, pull me down the straightaway. Then I'd catch you in her, and you'd pull me out of the corner. Golly, what am I going to do to get around this guy?
And man, Tommy will tell you, any older racer will tell you, you got to be fast through the corner. If you can't go through the corner, the straight stretch is nothing. I mean, I've come down the front stretch and dragged the race with Edwin. I've dragged the race with Timmy Brown and all them. I've always come up a little bit short, but I was there. And that's what makes it fun, is being there at that time. Drag racing down the front stretch.
And I've heard before, you know, the straightaways are for fast cars and the corners are for fast drivers,
That's correct.
you know,
And the drier the track gets, the better the driver shines.
that's for sure. It weeds them out quick.
And these cars at Batesville, as competitive as they are, in Batesville get dry from time to time, and that's where you really see the drivers that's drove on Batesville for 20 or 30 years. I mean,
You gotta know.
I've made 150, 200 laps probably on Batesville compared to guys that's made 10 or 15 years on Batesville. And to be in the top 5, I am tickled to death at Batesville. I feel like I have done something. They're just a little faster here and a little faster there. I do believe, I like the IMCA sanctioning that's going on. I do believe that, inevitably, I think that's where it's all going. In the next 5 to 10 years, I think you'll be USRA or IMCA sanctioned. And they put on some really good races. There's really good teching. The rules are very competitive. It does drive the cost up a little bit more, the initial cost, but I believe that's where it's going.
How many people can afford that though, locally?
Locally, you kind of got to start over, so, and not very many. I mean,
That's what I mean, that's gonna hurt the average car count on a lot of tracks.
I think it will until,
You
we
get-
have some
you get enough-
time passed, and we get some used cars out there on the market.
Yeah, that's what I said, you're gonna have to stand it for 3 or 4 years to get some of
You
these
know,
hand-me-down cars to
Yeah.
the cheaper guys.
And right now in Arkansas, we just don't have any of those.
That's what I mean, there's no,
yeah, it's just getting started here. I mean, you can go up north and you can pick up, you know, them side biters or all them other chassis brands. You can pick them up for a couple grand, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 rollers. But you got to drive 8 or 10 hours up there to get one. And I think, like Bill said, in 3 or 4 years, you'll get some of these hand-me-down chassis, so to speak. They'll start circulating.
Yeah. The guys that's got the money is gonna buy new ones and they're gonna sell their old ones, and
Correct.
that'll open up the market for the cheaper budget racers.
Bob, I want to ask you a question here, and I want to ask it while it's on my mind, because I've thought about this for all day. And I'm not going to try to put you on the spot here.
I don't care to be on the spot.
I know you don't, but do you have any idea of all the years that you've been racing and everything, the impact that you've had on so many racers in the Arkansas River Valley area? Do you realize yourself kind of the impact that you've had on our sport?
I can go to any racetrack around here within Greenville, Mississippi to, 150 miles from here anyway. And I have people walk up to me, and especially young guys, say, I used to go to races with my dad and watch you run,
True story.
and people will walk up to me and say, you still doing this shit?
I'm
And
wondering, oh, go ahead.
And makes me feel good in a way, if the young guys walk up and say, I used to come watch you, and I say, yeah, I bet you did too, because he's 20 years old, and
But how about, I guess where I was trying to go with it is what about all the young racers since back when you started who got into racing because they wanted to be as good as you? Is that ever crossed your mind?
oh, I don't know.
And that's where I was going with that.
Well,
Because I don't know that you really understand the true impact that you've had on dirt track stock car racing, especially in this area.
Well, I've got people that walk up to me now, older guys, that, said, I used to come to watch you all the time to race at Central. And my wife would say, who was that? I said, I don't know, it's somebody that knowed I raced a car. And it happens, I go to Walmart or anywhere I go, and Mason's run into him at Tri-State or Crawford County stuff, his grandpa, what's grandpa doing? I used to race with him.
My grandfather, actually, when you got started again, he stood right here in this shop, and he's like, Bobby Moore's racing again. I was like, I don't personally know Bobby Moore at the time. And he was like, if you can outrun Bobby, he said, you're doing something right. That was his exact words.
But I don't know of a soul. I don't know of a soul probably that I could think of. Like I said, we talk to quite a few people and talk racing all the time. That especially in this area right here, I can't think of a soul that had a bigger impact on people getting into the sport and wanting to do good in the sport. Because when you say, well, what's your goals in the sport? Well, and you hear time and time again, I either want to be as good as Bobby Moore or I wanted to be as good as Bobby Moore. And we hear that all the time. And just living in the general area, I've heard it all my life. People that got in the sport, it wasn't that they begrudged you, but they wanted to be as good as you.
Yeah.
And I just had to ask, have you ever really sat back and thought about the impact that you personally have had on our sport? Because it's been a good thing.
No, I still enjoy it. I got out of it when, like I said, when I sold my car, because it was just me and my wife, had no pit crew. It was, go to the race by myself. And we'd go down there to Plummerville and I'd watch Mason run. And when he started running at Plummerville, I used to go down there and sit in the bleachers and watch him run. And one night he said, called me, said, I'm out of town working. Said, would you take my car down there and run it because I'm in points and it goes with the car. I hadn't been in a car in 10 years, I don't guess. And I got in the car and ended up running second in the feature. I told my old lady when I got back home at night, I said, I got to have me another one. She said, I knowed it when you got in that car. And we started looking for one. Mason found them on the internet. We'd go look at them with a piece of junk. We'd go here and go there. And I finally ended up buying that car and bought a roller.
In that time frame there, from that time that you'd been out of the car till you got in Mason's car, could you tell the big difference when you got behind the wheel? Or was it still just the same?
It's like riding a bicycle, I think. It's just still natural to do what, of course they drive a lot different now than they did then. Used to, you run like hell down the straightaway, jack it sideways, and we run at Central for years, and it shut down. I went to Crawford County. I run Batesville for 1 year, finished out 1 year at Batesville at the Locust Grove, or that half mile track. What was the name of it?
Talk about there, Heber's Furnace?
Yeah, no. Between Huber and Locust at
It wasn't Wynn Stadium.
Wynn Stadium on a half mile. I finished out the year there. We went up to Crawford on Labor Day weekend, and it was at the end of the season. Except for riding the motorcycle around. Buddy of mine had helped me all the time. We went to the races that night, on Sunday night. And them boys run like hell down the straightaway, and they just stop, turn, drive around, turn, take off. He said, we need to come up here and run with these boys. But I was used to Central, So we went up there, built that Camaro and took it up there. First night up there, I won all 3 races. Had 2 heats and a feature. I won all 3 races. And up there to get my money, the guy said, you can't drive like that up here. I said, what am I doing wrong? He said, you're running too fast in the turns. I said, hell, I didn't hit nobody, did I? He said, no. So we give him schooling up there for about 3 years. I won the championship up there 3 years in a row. But I would drive through the turns and they would just shut them down. And that's where I really enjoyed racing.
And in saying that, 3 Crawford County championships. How many at Centerville? 5, 6? I can't
I don't
remember.
know. I've got 2 at Plummerville.
2 at Plummerville.
I don't know how many. Lost count of them. And at Crow Mountain, when Crow Mountain was running,
Yeah.
I'd take 4 cars up there. I'd run 4 cars in that. Run all classes. Even had a figure 8 class. I'd run it in.
I remember that. I remember that as a kid.
I couldn't imagine that.
I feel like I'm in that some nights.
You talk like maybe you was in one past Friday night.
I was.
But
I was in a lot of people's way.
But like I said, I took 3 cars, I took A, B, and C car up there in the figure 8 car. And I'd run them on Friday night, I'd take 2 to Central on Saturday night.
Of all the classes that you raced in over the years, what would you say was the best racing that you done?
The race I enjoyed the most I ever run in was Crawford County. We was running at Central, and I had my motor in Melvin Burris's car.
Mm-hmm.
And I had extra motor, we put it in his car, and I was driving it up there at Crawford. And we run up Central with my car on Saturday night, and they had a $500 win up there on Sunday night. We went up there and had started in the back of the B, or started back of the heat. I won it, had to start in the B, in the back of the B, I run second in it, put me in the back of the A, and I won it, 50-lap race. I passed every car on the track. I said I enjoyed that race more than any race I ever run.
And how many laps was that again?
50 laps.
50 laps.
It's 20-lap B, 50-lap feature, and A. And I won it. But we was up there 2 weeks before that, and they told us, Tommy New went up there with me. Tommy took his car and I took mine. And they said, if you come up here and run, you can run Batesville rules. Well, I had roller rockers on mine at that time. Tommy had rollers on his. We went up there and we run the 50-lap race. I won it, Tommy run second, and the track champion at that time was 8 car. He run third.
Was that probably Roger Chisholm?
And I don't even know what his name was, a black one, Camaro. Anyway, went across the scale, and they said, you got roller rockers? I said, yep, you're DQ'd. They DQ'd me and Tommy both. Went to 5th or 6th car, and they got them too. So, then we went back, like I said, that race I won in Melvin's car. I took the roller rockers off of his car and put standard rockers on it. And went across the scale, and they said, pull this valve, we're going to check it. Shack owner come down there and said, no, said, he's legal. Said, don't check him. So I went ahead and pulled the valve cover, showed him it was legal. So I got the $500. But that was back when it was fun. I mean, but what it was, I had old hard Goodyear tires, which I'd found somewhere used ones. And the guy come over there when we unloaded off the trailer, and he said, looked at the tires and felt them and said, you might want to go home. He said, you ain't gonna do no good. Well, that 50-lap race, last 20 laps, they'd done burnt the tires off, and mine was just starting to work. I was passing 1 and 2 cars every lap down the straightaway.
Just getting hard.
Just getting hard to burn off of it, and it started working. And that was a race I've enjoyed, or I've talked about, I guess, all my life, or just as long as I'm here. I enjoyed morning. I went to the back twice and went to the front. And that's what I say, you need a driver, he enjoys that. The guy starting on the pole, he ain't gonna enjoy it. I mean, he won the race, he got the money, but he really didn't enjoy racing. If he's a true racer. I mean, there's some out there strictly for the money. I enjoy driving, I enjoy watching.
It seems like there is a lot more of that these days. Those are people that just, like we said earlier, show up, they want to win.
Yeah.
That's all they want.
That's all they want to win.
You'll see them just pop up at these 500,000 wins
And
stuff like that, and never see them other than
You'll
that.
never see them on a regular night. They're not gonna come turn and run for the normal prize money. When they jack that money up, they're gonna say, we're gonna come for the money. And that hurts your local your local cars, because the local cars is there every Saturday night. They're running for $200 or $150, whatever. And when the money comes up, guys come from out of town, takes the money and goes home.
Talking about car count, what would you say of all the years that you were racing, that you saw the largest car counts? What years probably was
Back
racing
in
in
the
its high?
68, 69, I've seen as many as 50 V mods, or whatever you want to call it. I've seen them line all the way around the center of the track. The flag would be flagging on the ass end of the track. The cars would reach all the way around the track. In Crawford County used to draw a good car count. I mean, I say good, 20, 25 cars every night. And same cars about every week. But right now you're getting factory stock. You've got 20 cars shows up at Florida, let's say Florida. You've got probably 12 to 14 what you call good factory stock cars and drivers. And you've got 10 that's gonna run on the back, regardless of anything, They're just starting out, low budget, you know that's where they're gonna run. When
They're
you
having
line
fun.
up, they're having fun. They're actually having more fun than the man that won it.
Absolutely.
But when you pull out on track and you go and you race them every week, that guy's gonna spin out or he's gonna do something, So you try to avoid getting into him. But you gotta respect him because he's out on the track. He paid his money just like you did. You can't run over him, can't knock him out of the way. So if he starts in front of you, you gotta follow him till he screws up and you get by him. And with that time, the field's done left you back in the back, and
Then you need a caution.
then you need a caution to get even close to the front again. And most time it'd be a caution, then there'd be a big pile up then, everybody trying to get to the front.
Yep.
So, like I said, right now, I couldn't have raced if it wasn't for Tim and Mason and Bodie. And my wife and my best pit crew I got, she's the only one I got. But she likes the races, and if we don't race on Saturday night, she wants to go to a race on Saturday night. And I'm fortunate that way. I mean,
How about you guys? Are y'all, your better halves want to go to a race when you ain't racing?
Typically, she really likes it. You know, if we're not gonna race, we'll probably go watch somewhere. Other than, you know, Carson, our stepson, he races go-karts. So if we ain't got nothing going on, that's where we're going, you know. And like Grandpa said, you know, with all the help, it's hard to do any of this without help. You know, we've got my dad and Bodie Branscombe and comes out and helps us. It's hard to keep two cars going for sure. And now, I don't know back then, when you had four, I could not imagine.
well,
Either you had a bunch of people, or you run around like a chicken with your head cut off, one of the two.
well, I worked on them all during the week, and I had four with me on Saturday night. I just get out of one, and they would gas it, and change tires, whatever, I know you're not getting the other one, and right down the line. But I had a guy help me then. If I tore an A-frame off, he had the tools out and the A-frame ready to put it on when it come off the track, and I missed him. Like I said, right now, I call Mason a lot of times during the week, come by my shop and get off work. I done some welding to do. I can't see worth the shit anymore, so I get him to weld.
Well, and you know, we'll help anybody. You know, because I tell you, this is one of my deals, is I would rather help somebody and run second to them than lap this guy 8 times in a feature and watch him struggle. I mean, because it gets frustrating, and especially when you're getting started, if you can't progress, you'll get frustrated and quit before the first year does it. You know, you need, you know, you see somebody frustrated, try to help them out. You know, that's what we try to do.
And besides that, if you can help him in his driving part, he won't get in a wreck with him if bad.
That's true.
So,
What about you, Eric?
Now, Crystal, she likes races. I've been kicking around the idea of getting an IMCA car. I hadn't mentioned anything to her about it because, you know, I was going to try to just wait. Denver and them come to Tri-State a couple weeks ago, and he did really good up there, and she made the comment, she was like, why don't you get one of those IMCA cars where we can start going with Denver and them back to Batesville and back to Tri-State and stuff. And I was like, you don't have to tell me twice. So, you know, I've been in the market for one, but she likes it. We're actually going to go up this weekend and watch the big factory stock show up at Tri-State. It'll be a good race for sure. As far as they're talking about helping people and struggling, I struggled a lot because I didn't know nothing. You know, I got through into something that I knew nothing about. Tommy New was a big help to me on Camaros. He helped me day in and day out. I used to leave my car up there at his shop, and I'd work up there until he went home. And helped me a lot in Camaro. And then Nick Lawrence and Charlie Lawrence helped me a lot in the Monte Carlo. They directed me towards some people. A gentleman by the name of Chad Abernathy out of Watchdog River Cabins. And he has helped me hand over foot in a metric car. I mean, by bar none, the best I have ever personally worked with metric-wise.
Well, and you talked about help, you know, with the sponsors, is you got to have sponsors these days. I mean, like
And
you said,
in saying that, go ahead. I mean,
Yeah,
we encourage people to throw their sponsors out there.
absolutely. You know, we've got the glass company, we've got KMP Painting, I've got Barbara Jackson, I've got Jerry's Performance and Tuning, we've got KMS Motors, we've got Broadway Machine. Let's see here, I know I'm forgetting somebody. We got Herndon Diesel Service, we got Highway 9 Auto Body. Got Tim Branscombe here, he's helped us on some of the chassis stuff. And if I'm forgetting somebody, I apologize. But without these guys, man, it would be absolutely hard to do because the cost of these race cars have gotten outrageous. You know, from just the 8 years that I've been in it, you know, the cost, it went crazy. But if you don't have the right equipment, you're going to get beat by the right equipment. And that's, unfortunately, that's the God's honest truth. I mean, it is what it is at that point.
That's one I forgot too, was Tim. He helped me a lot on Merrill too, Tim Branson.
Who else you got?
I've got Bourne Farms, which is my grandfather and my cousin. They've helped a lot over the years. Got Elmo's Boom Truck Service. He does, if you know Elmo, you know Elmo. I mean, he's, bar none, he's a good dude. Salon 44, which is out in Atkins, is a little salon out there. And they like the racing, they like the family-oriented events. I think that's about all for me.
Bob, what about you?
Johnny Cunningham is the only man that's actually give me any money. And Roy Bratton give me a little bit. And other than that, it's Social Security and Mom.
Oh, Roy, I ain't seen Roy race in a while.
Yeah.
Or
I would like to have some sponsors that would help. They can pay the fuel bill on Saturday night.
That's something that's crazy too.
Yeah.
Fuel price.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, the prices go up in race fuel, but it never comes back down. The
Yeah.
pump prices go up, but they come back down. Racing fuel never comes back down once it goes up.
Yeah, I think when I started, it was like $5 a gallon,
Mm-hmm.
and that was for the good stuff, same stuff we're running now.
It's $10 a gallon now.
But,
Well, guys, but before we move on to the last segment of the show, I want to make a comment. I know I've made it on a previous show Bob was on, and Bob has won more championships than I can count on his hand, and we tried to estimate one time the number of races that he won, and we just decided it was pretty much impossible. And I say that to get to this, I firmly believe that if it hadn't been for the geographic restrictions of Arkansas versus the Carolinas, if we'd have been closer, I really think on Sunday afternoons we'd been able to sit home and watch Bobby Moore race on TV. I just think he was that good. So.
But I'm 80 years old now.
You're 80 years old and still
He's
on
still
this.
out there
Very
racing
good.
though.
Yep.
Well, Heath, that's gonna take us to the new Vision Sport shirts, Visions for the Future.
We'll start with Eric Brannon down there. 2021, what we gonna look forward to you the rest this year?
Oh, I'm fixing to go back to work, so it's going to be kind of tight on us. I'm going to probably try to get a few more races. I want to, if I can get my stuff right, I'm going to try to go down there to Plummerville and give them a run for their money. I haven't been on the track since Johnny and them's got it and redone it. It'd be exciting to see. Other than that, probably just Centerville. May try to make an event or two at Batesville. Especially if they open it up and do another trial run at the end of the season this year, I'll be ready. Hopefully, if Phil can make that happen. I'd like to see that again.
Mason, same question to you. What are we looking forward to the rest this year for you?
You're gonna see us somewhere on the weekend anyway.
Somewhere racing.
Somewhere racing, yeah. We've been to Plummerville, obviously, Centerville, Diamond Park. We've been up to Old Number 1. We really like going up there. Haven't made it to Crawley's Ridge yet, but it's definitely on the schedule. Just somewhere. You never know where we're gonna pop up next.
You can go to Greenville anymore?
If they get the rules right, we can, yeah. Because there's a couple rules that don't.
Bobby, what about you? Rest of this year, what we gonna look forward to maybe seeing you at?
Probably Plummerville, Centerville. I'd like to go back down to Diamond Park once. I didn't want to change the gears, reason I didn't go last weekend, or 2 weekends ago. Because I didn't want to change them back and forth.
That's a fun track.
I'm lazy.
Diamond Park's a
I
fun
run
track
down
to
there
run.
2 years ago. And that was the only thing I didn't like about it. I passed the same car 15 times. Every time they have a caution, he'd pull up in front of us and they'd just start the race. So,
Did you ever race at Thunder Mountain?
yeah,
That was a fun track.
run downhill and run uphill.
Yep.
I want to ask a question real quick to Bob. I take it we're gonna see you again in 2022?
Oh, yeah. I'm still alive.
Okay. All right. Well, guys, like I said, we appreciate y'all coming on tonight and talking racing with us tonight. It's been a lot of fun and pleasure. And we again want to thank our sponsors who helped bring Tuesday Night Tune Up, and we'll talk a little bit about Eddie Hoyer down at 4Play Speed and Muffler Shop down in Plummerville, Arkansas. Big supporter of Arkansas Motorsports Magazine's Tuesday Night Tune Up. You need parts for your race car, go down there and see Eddie. If your daily driver or some kind of specialty vehicle that you're building needs exhaust work, I want to recommend Eddie down there at his muffler shop for doing you a very excellent and nice job on the undercarriage of your car. So, like I said, Eddie, thanks for all you do for us and the whole racing community out there. We want to thank Chambers Bank. Bank, it's never been easier than opening an account with Chambers Bank. They've got 28 locations throughout Arkansas, so give them a look if you don't care. Also, True Grit Auction Company over in Dardanelle, Arkansas. Arkansas's #1 online auctioneer. And like I said, check out their Facebook page this week, because like I said, they have got an auction going on this week that I think is going to close out this weekend.
I think this weekend, yeah.
A lot of great metal fabrication tools in there for you racers out there, and also got a live auction that's got some pretty neat stuff in it this Saturday at London, Arkansas.
If you need anything sold, holler at Gary.
Oh yeah, they're on top of it.
They're filling up fast. I mean, they just constantly people calling me.
And they're not just here local, they're all over the state of Arkansas doing
yeah.
these auctions. And like I said, Kevin Rogers down at KR Performance Fuels. Kevin tries to keep the cost of racing fuel down as low as he can for these guys.
Yep.
So Kevin, if you're watching, we appreciate you. Skyway Buick GMC up in Joplin, Missouri. Got some fine deals going on, some automobiles up there this week. We want to thank Ecky's Parts and Accessories down in North Little Rock. Straight Line Transmissions over in Greenbrier. We also want to thank Weston Petroleum for helping sponsor our magazine as well as the Tuesday Night Tune-Up. Jim Philpott up in Greenwood, Arkansas, our good friend up there at Philpott's Complete Car Care. Todd Blankenship there in Danville that keeps us on the road every week out here at Blankenship's Pit Stop. And we also want to thank the Prescott Raceway and the Centerville Dragway for being a sponsor as well. And Heath, I'm going to let you make a quick pitch on the things going on with the River Monster Festival.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If September 18th, anybody that would love to come out, we've got a great cause. We have a festival in Danville, Arkansas. We've got stuff for the kids all day long. We've got 4 music acts that afternoon. Great music, games and stuff for the kids. We've got a big car show. Bring your hot rods out. We raise money. We give scholarships to all 4 schools in the county. Lieutenant Kevin Mainhart scholarship was the officer that was killed in the line of duty there, and scholarships that for all 4 schools and 1 in-house scholarship.
Right. Where is it located in Danville?
And right there by the courthouse.
Okay.
It's right there on the Main Street.
Right there in Main Street in town. And I know that you've got a couple of hot rods.
Yeah.
And we appreciate, and August the 14th, they're going to have a cruise night right there in Danville also, and they're going to have Cam Shelton there on the stage singing. So bring your hot rods out and cruise town.
Cruising starts at 5 o'clock
Yep.
and Camp Shelton hits the stage at 7:30.
7. Yep.
That's on Saturday night.
Yep.
I got one more thing. I did forget one guy.
Well, get him in there.
Audie Oliver, he's always been good to us, got us wrapped up. Hey, I'm sorry, Audie, I forgot you, but not least anyway. Always been great working with that guy. Always getting a race car wrapped and does a great job.
Well, Heath, where are we going next week?
We'll let you know later.
I will tell you this. I know one of the guests that's going to be on the show is former Comp Cam's founder, Chris Ellis.
I guess we're going to be in Morrilton.
We think we're going to be in Morrilton.
Morrilton, right.
So.
And we are going to have Chris Ellis on there.
So anyway, like I said, for our co-host Heath Tate, Mason Nichols, our good friend Bobby Moore, and Eric Brannon here, who was a fine host tonight and fed us before the show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And it was good. And we're going to thank our production manager over there, Aaron Gilkey, who's got to catch a flight here in just a few hours. And I'm Bill Gilkey, and we'll see you back next Tuesday night from somewhere here in Arkansas.